Welcome hunters to the Windward Plains. You know where this is? Yes, this is in Monster Hunter Wilds. The open beta has been released for PC and a few days ago for the PlayStation 5 if you had the PlayStation Plus subscription, but for PC and Xbox we've got it since yesterday actually, and I've played it a tiny bit. Oh, Monster Hunter Wilds, we've waited for this game for such a long time, didn't we? Oh, when it was revealed at the Game Awards, and then we got trailers and more interviews with the developers and presentations by the producer of the series, of course. But now it is here, right behind me. An immense expanse of nature to explore, a territory that has not been charted by the guild. We are the first one there. There's people already and villages, but we're the first ones of the guild, and we have a lot to do. That's what I would say. If it wasn't all super choppy, I will explain my thoughts and feelings over the open beta, of course. But I will make sure to point out the good points and the bad points of this beta. And we will start out with the bad points, unfortunately. That is to say, the performance for me has been shit. Why do I say it has been shit? When my computer can play Monster Hunter World at 90 frames per second on ultra graphics, no problem. Well, Monster Hunter Wilds is 20 frames per second. I know. Tweak your graphical settings, Lulu. You think I didn't do that? Of course I did that. I went in there. Oh, the game is super choppy. I'm going to touch everything. But the lowest preset and the ultra preset give me around the same frame rate. It doesn't change much. At most, the lowest preset gives me 4 FPS over the Ultra one, but god, it looks so ugly then. And the upscaling doesn't help too much either. So in the end I did activate the upscaling while having the game in Ultra because it makes no difference anyways. And my performance has always been below 30, closer to 25 constantly, and this reminded me of the good old days of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on my precious Nintendo 64. Actually, that's a lie, I played it on the GameCube, but it was still 20 frames per second. Not too far off from Monster Hunter Wilds. We go full like circle, don't we? I think that's because I have an Intel GPU, an Arc A770, 16GB. I don't think it is very well handled by the game at all. I have a friend that has an AMD card with approximately the same specs of PC. He can clearly play the game at 60 or 70 or 80 frames per second. The guy was playing at 150 last time I saw him. So yeah, favoritism. Yay! And the second bad thing I would say would be the fidelity of the graphics. I left the game at Ultra, so it should be the best it can be in this beta. And I assume that's because in its beta that things are quite blurry and overall kind of like muddy. The textures don't look super good. If I disable the entire aliasing that I prefer to do, because I'm not going to use TAA because that makes everything super blurry, and the only option to have FXAA is to also activate TAA at the same time. I don't want that, so I disable the entire aliasing. And if I don't put the upscaling on quality that will make my game soup anyways, it makes everything so edgy. I see all the staircases on every damn polygon. It's very distracting. I really wish they would have given me FXAA to smoothen out these lines, because I play at 1080p, because I'm a budget gamer after all. Yeah, I assume it's because of the beta that the look of the game feels less polished. And now I'm going to come to the good points. The combat is really good, I think. I have only played with a greatsword because I couldn't spend a ton of time running around at, you know, Nintendo 64 frame rate. So I experienced it with a greatsword because that's also what I'm playing currently in Monster Hunter World. So that kind of gives me an impression of a view of how the weapon feels in the next game. And it feels fine, it's very recognizable, it's very similar to the Monster Hunter World Greatsword, except that you don't have the slinger shot, and that kind of confuses me a bit because I often try to do a slinger shot during my combo, and that doesn't work so well because there's no slinger shot in that game. But otherwise, the weapon feels pretty good, and you know what feels the best so far? I love to God the offset attacks. It is the best addition they've made to the combat for me. The fact that with the Greatsword it is perfect for the weapon's playstyle because you have to learn the monster and anticipate the monster's actions. And if you can anticipate when a hit is going to come, when the monster is going to go down with a big fist, and you offset the attack with an upward swing, a charged one, and there's this satisfying counter sound effect and visual effects, and the monster is sent flying back, and that's so satisfying. It makes you feel like a badass. I did hear some people say that the hit lag in this game is lacking compared to World or Rise. I didn't really experience that yet, but maybe people that played with many weapons did experience that. But with the Greatsword, for me it was pretty good, I would say. I didn't have any complaints. Especially with the offset attacks. I mean, like, there is hit lag when you like smash the monster back. Ooh la la, that was really good. I didn't have the occasion to do one of these guards where you block the monster's mouth with your greatsword and smash your attack button to overcome the beast. I didn't get to do that yet. Maybe I'll try to hop back on my Nintendo 64 and try it again. But that also looks super nice. And about the different monsters I've encountered in the game, the Kabara and the Doshaguma have been lovely monsters. I have literally no criticism for them. I think they're pretty well designed and I like the way they attack and move. The Cachacabra as a beginning monster, it's an interesting one. It is clearly a beginning monster because it doesn't do too much damage to you and it is easy to predict, but it does leave an impression. It's going to lick you all over, and that's not something a beginner monster did in a previous Monster Hunter game, and it hits with its fist and it looks actually pretty strong. You know, it can really smash the floor and makes debris fall in the air. It looks quite powerful. And of course you can offset him and send him flying back. And there's the Doshaguma, which actually I was surprised to see how big the Doshaguma is, at least the alpha one. It is towering over the hunter and quite deadly, really. It is not too much of a complicated monster. You can also easily learn its patterns, though it does have some tricky moves that it does when it is enraged. And offsetting it was really cool, because it does a triple like boom boom boom, I'm going to spank you for Christmas kind of move. And it goes down and charges a big slam to slam on you, and this big slam you can quite reliably, I think, offset it. And that's pretty freaking cool. And I thought that the Doshaguma in general was quite intimidating, especially when it enters rage mode. Oh, speaking of that reminds me of the focus mode, of course, that is not so different from aiming your slinger, but it's like aiming with your weapon this time. I thought it was kind of really great. It really does help positioning yourself. I noticed with my greatsword when I was charging a true charge slash in a direction that wasn't the one I wanted, I could focus behind me and my character would turn towards the monster. Nothing that you could do in the previous Monster Hunter games. You have a lot more freedom of movement, and precision is a lot easier in this game, and that's not a bad thing really. That allows you to be able to be more effective in your hunts, or to be able to pull some cool moves, like the monster is at your back, it's about to hit you, what if you suddenly turn back and offset it? Isn't that amazing? And I really like the fact that it's wounds, you know? I realize that tenderizing in Monster Hunter World can be a lot, but in this game, there's no tenderizing. You just attack and it creates wounds, and as you attack, you can pop the wounds. Of course, it does more damage to attack the wounds. And doing this attack in focus mode that pops the wounds, I'm not exactly sure when is the best time to do this, but I did really enjoy popping them. It is kind of satisfying, especially with the greatsword, only weapon I've played. You stab the monster, you run alongside it while dragging your blade across its body, And that's pretty freaking cool. And the wounds explode. I think when you explode multiple wounds, it allows you to automatically, I think, maybe it's automatic, but chain a second more powerful focus attack. I'm not sure yet when that attack is activated, but it happened at least twice in my Doshagoma hunt. But overall, I really enjoy the combat of this game. It feels really good, I think. And as the environment, the Windward Plains, of course, they're pretty big. And it's a really cool area, I think, especially when the weather conditions make it so everything is lush with vegetation. It's very golden. It reminds me of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate with the ancestral steppes. It's kind of like golden grass. It's also present in these plains. I really like the look of it. And the dunes, the desert part of the map that I've seen with the little oasis, is also really cool. I've always wanted a bit of a bigger desert in Monster Hunter, with really some high dunes, a vast expanse of sand, and that's what I'm getting in this game, you know? It's really cool that on one side you have this vegetation area, kind of like a safari, and on the other you have this sterile desert. I do really enjoy the look of the map, really. I know there's some cavernous sections where you fight the Chatacabra in there for the first time, but I've not explored them too much yet. I have a lot more of the map to explore because they are quite big. There's a lot more areas in there than in previous Monster Hunter games. You think about it, I've seen there's at least 16, I think, in the Windward Plains, and that's a big number, really. But at the same time, if you open your map, which is in 3 dimensions, by the way, I think that's really cool that it's in 3 dimensions, you can see how big this map is. And if all maps are that size, I think that's going to be awesome. It's really lovely to just walk around the environment and look at the different locations, of course, the points of interest, trying to see some geographical marvels in the distance or close to you, the different animals that live there that are not there to suck your blood, of course, the endemic life and all that stuff. It's really lovely, it's nice to walk around. So overall, the Monster Hunter Wilds beta shows a lot of promise for the full game. I hope to God that all the issues I've been having in the game, including my performance and some weird graphical bugs where some monsters were black sensor bars, at least during the intro section in the story mission. I had to skip the story mission actually and all that jazz to be able to test my performance and all that, because, well, it was really bad, so I skipped all the story. But hey, maybe that will keep it fresh for me in the full game. But as I said, I hope that all these problems come from it being an older build, a beta, something they've had in the closet for a long time, and that the full release of the game will just be smooth butter cheeks, and everything will be so good and polished and beautiful, and that tears will roll out of my eyes, because this will be my ideal Monster Hunter game, where you are out in the field, a huge field, with your handler next to you. Did I mention the handler? Alma. I think the UI is really lovely actually, the way you go to her, she's on her secret, and you talk to her and she opens the quest log for you. I think it's really cool. The fact that you can just, in the field, select a quest, and there you go, and you do that quest, or attack monsters in the field to engage in quests relating to these monsters, instead of going through a menu book. That's all very lovely and very immersive, I think. And I do hope the full game does address all my issues, really. Make it so that my Intel GPU isn't just a pile of shit in the end, please. But frankly, with all the community outrage, I think that the developers will see that they really need to prioritize making the experience the polished one, and that there will be good frame rate. At least I hope so. They can't be lazy. This is the Monster Hunter team, right? They're good guys. Yeah. So what about you? Did you enjoy the Monster Hunter Wilds beta? Did you have any issues with it? Performance crashes, graphical glitches? I've seen a funny graphical glitch where every character or monster turned into very low polygon people or monsters, and someone made an origami drawing of the apex of the region. It was really funny, it made me laugh. In general, all these screenshots of low poly characters really made me laugh actually. That was very comical. And can you see, just like me, that the game has amazing potential and might be the best Monster Hunter game to date, if they manage to fix the issues. Okay, you tell me all about this in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video, okay? There's another one that's going to pop by next. Make sure to like this video, and subscribe if you enjoyed it, so it supports me. I do like the support. And I'll see you then. Wait for my little dance, and there will be a video, okay? Cheers!